Welcome to Hands-On Games, and in this episode we're going to take a look at Demo Derby Smashdown, designed by Keith Avalone and published by Plaay Games. Hey everyone, it's Al. So before I get started on the episode today, let me say thank you to everybody who has already subscribed to this channel. We have over 150 subscribers and the number keeps on growing. So thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun. Hope you're enjoying the content that I'm delivering on my channel. And so today we're talking about a niche game about a niche sport, Demo Derby Smashdown. This was not necessarily on my radar, although I knew about the game. But when Keith Avalone at Plaay.com let it be known that this was going out of print, the collector in me said I need to have it. So I got it in the mail this past week, and last night opened it up while educating myself about Demolition Derby. So I'm just going to leave this video playing while I'm talking. This is what I was looking at while I was unwrapping the game and sorting the cards. The last I had known of Demolition Derby was vague recollections of watching it on Wild World of Sports. And while I was talking to my wife about this game and doing this video, she said that she thought Demolition Derby would be the last thing that she would ever think that I'd be interested in. And I might have agreed with her a couple days ago, but after watching this video, and there's a bunch of other videos on YouTube, it's actually kind of fun, and in a very base sort of way. It's fun to see the cars smashing into each other and water flying, steam flying. And what I've learned about the current demolition derbies that are going around the fairgrounds and county fairs, summer festivals, things like that, is that the drivers are they know each other, they travel with each other, they're friends. The competition isn't necessarily nasty, maybe like it used to be in the old days. And so it's interesting. And in the manual for the game, interestingly enough, Keith even suggests that you watch some YouTube videos to refamiliarize yourself with Demolition Derby, so that when you're rolling the dice and you're playing the game and things are happening, you can visualize what's happening. And it's a very good recommendation. I highly recommend it if you're going to try this game out, that you do that. So yeah, it's a niche sport. Not many people have go to demo derbies anymore, and to recreate such a sport on the tabletop may seem a little different, a little odd. Why would you play this? Trust me, there are people that play this, and my best explanation is for Demo Derby Smashdown and for some of Keith's other games, his roller derby game, his wrestling game, the fun comes for the solo player, at least speaking for the solo player here, of seeing a universe of your own creation grow on your tabletop, to see storylines unfold. The names of the fictional drivers, in this case, stick with you. And when you see them come up from race to race and you see what happens, it creates the movie in your mind, for lack of a better term. And it's that kind of game player that's going to enjoy this game, that game player that enjoys creating stories that are unique to their tabletop. And a lot of folks will go on Delphi forums and post about their racing series, their demo series, and what's going on with the drivers. I know Keith has put out previous sets where those of us that have bought the game, he would card them, give them their own personal cards, and people would write stories about how their drivers were doing. So there's definitely a community feel to this game where people want to share their experiences. So that's why people play it. It's fun, it's light, yes, it's silly, yes, it's a niche sport, yes, it's a niche hobby we have of playing sports games, especially like these, But for those of us that enjoy it, this is a great addition to your gaming collection. So let me turn the camera around and I will show you guys what the game looks like and how it plays. Okay, so how do you play out a Demolition Derby on your tabletop with this game? It's pretty easy. You see most of the components in the picture already. You've got your drivers and you've got your cars. And here's a close-up example of a driver card. Here we have Kenny Meeks. He's from Georgia. I like the fact that the driver card set tells you where the drivers are from. It's allowed me to organize my events into regionals before having any kind of world championship. And you notice on the card that you have 6 columns with a bunch of rows, and the columns pertain to different moves that the driver is famous for. So Kenny is famous for his Southern Slam, the Trunk Twister, the Peach Pit, the Rebel Rouser, the Georgia Bulldog, and the Rear View. And during the game, he may actually lose the ability to use some of these moves. So that's one game mechanic that comes into play. So on the card, you'll see that underneath each one of those moves, you have different symbols. Not many symbols in this game to learn, really easy. The X's are going to be damage to an opposing car. The O's are going to be damage that's taken by Kenny's own car, when he rolls that particular number. The stars and burst symbols indicate which car in his particular area is going to take the damage he's dealing out. I'll explain more about that in a second. And finally, you have skid and car results, as well as no damage results, and I'll talk about those. Well, let me start with no damage. No damage is interesting. If you roll an ND result, and that's what the driver gets for that turn, that means that he's going to be he's going to be staying out of the way of trouble that turn, and it's a good and bad move. It's good in that he won't be able to take damage from any other driver that turn, but he's not going to be dealing any out either. So that's what no damage, that's what the ND is. Let's see, then we've got exclamation points and question marks. Exclamation points are internal damage to an opposing driver's car, and the question marks are internal damage to the driver's own car, so in this case, Kenny's car. And that means that it's possible that he's going to lose the ability to use one of those 6 moves that he is so famous for. In addition to the driver cards, you have the actual cars themselves. Here we have a 79 Aeroblade Coupe with space to write in the driver name and the bonus ability for that particular car. Now you'll notice that already on the table, I have my cars already filled out with some information. I've already run a race, and in this one, I've got Glover. That happens to be Larry Glover from Elko, Nevada. Larry drives his Henry II sedan, or Henry II sedan, a 1974 model. Beautiful car. The C next to his name means that he's rated as a C currently in my association. The K means he had 1 kill this past race, and the small W means he earned a win. Down below, you see he sustained some damage during the race. 1, that's 0. That first O means that's own. So he damaged himself during a move on someone. But other than that, he took 4 damage points from other cars for a total of 5, which kept him in the race. You'll need a total of 7 damage points before you're knocked out. So that's the results of the race. Now, how did the race play out? Well, here's how the game plays. You'll notice that when it starts, I have my driver cards up here. They're all going to stay there. And I've got the cars into 3 different columns. Depending on how many cars you have running in the Derby, you might have more columns, you might have fewer. But right now we've got Glover, Delgado, and Hubbard in this column. And running the race starts with a roll of the dice. A roll of the dice, which are right here. So you're going to roll the dice, and in this case, I rolled a 61. So Glover's the first car in this stack to make a move. So we look at Glover's card. A 6-1 tells us he's using his Dust Devil move. He inflicts 1 damage, 1 external damage, and 1 internal damage on whatever car in the stack currently already has the most damage. So you look down below, and you see, you find the card that already has the most damage. In this case, it's Delgado's Toreador Custom Coupe. So Delgado's card, his car here, would actually take the damage. So you'd strike out 1 X, showing 1 external damage. And now you have to figure out, okay, what internally happened to Delgado's car? You roll 1 die, and we get a 2. So you go to Delgado's card, and you put a chip on the 2. That means in future turns, Delgado can no longer use his El Diablo special move. And that's the end of Glover's turn. So you just put it down below to show that his turn is over, and you continue on. Now, as we move on to Delgado and then to Hubbard in their cars, they're going to do the same thing. They are going to roll. You're going to look at what the result is, and you're going to figure out who the damage gets applied to. In some cases, it won't tell you specifically which car in the stack. It could tell you that the damage gets applied to the card in this stack with the most damage, the least damage, or no indication, which means you as the player are going to have to make that determination yourself. And it's really up to you on how you do this. It's your universe, it's your association. Do whatever you want. Now, throughout the game, besides just taking damage and dealing damage, you might have to access a couple charts. And here are the charts. And again, they're really easy to use. So the first one I want to show you is the car chart. This car result is going to come up on the various cards that are in play. And if you roll this, you're going to have to roll 1d6 again. And based on the damage that car has already taken, it may actually take more damage, it may stall, or it may have engine problems. Or there may be an unusual result, and you go to the unusual results table. Don't look, because that's where the fun of the game comes in, is these unusual results. Like, for example, I haven't read through all the unusual results. I mean, why would I? I want to be surprised by them when they come up, right? So then we go to the skid chart. The skid chart. Now, the skid chart is more about the driver's ability. So you see that the more ability the driver has, the more likely he's going to cause damage to other players' cars. Remember, when you see an X, that's damage he's doing to someone else. And when you see a 0 or an O, signifying own, that's damage that he's going to do to his own car. And finally, he might stall it out or go to unusual results. Okay, and the last chart on this page is the showdown chart. Think the Malachi Crunch from the Happy Days episode. This is a chance for one driver to go for an all-out kill on another driver if he wants to. Again, this is going to be up to you as the game player. Using a showdown or going for a showdown when directed is optional, as laid out in the game rules. So a driver is never forced to do it, but this is where you get those cool one-on-one matchups, the drama that's going to add those storylines to your association. Okay, so in addition to that, we have a bunch of rare results. Again, I haven't read through all the rare results, but you may get sent here from the unusual results table if you roll a pair of 6s when you're on that table. So those are the extra charts you can go to. So gameplay continues. The game also comes with these stall cards and these engine cards when the drivers and their cars have stalls and engine problems. So you're going to put those cards on top to note that. But let me finish going through the gameplay. So the way it works is you're going to keep going through these columns one at a time. Finish all those cards and then they're done. You're going to go through this column. As these cars go through their die rolls, again, they're only going to do damage to other cars in their particular stack. And then they move on, and then you do this last stack, and you're done. And when the turn's over, you're going to take them all, you're going to give them a good shuffle, and you're going to redeal a different set of stacks. So now the cars are going to change position. This is similar to them changing position on the track. In the beginning of the game, you're looking at about a minute's worth of actual derby action time as you go through each one of these stacks. To get through them all is about a minute. And the gameplay to get through a complete derby on your tabletop takes about 20 minutes. And what's going to happen is, as you continue going through here, the cars are going to continue taking damage, signified by the marks at the bottom of the card. You're going to use the bonuses for the card, and you'll notice that for this first card, the Toreador, I have a check mark. That means I've used their bonus. But next to the Henry II, I have not used their bonus. I didn't put a check mark. And more importantly, with all of these hits, their special moves are going to get knocked out of use. So Glover from Elko, Nevada is going to lose his Vegas Shuffler at some point. Dan Lockhart from Snohomish, Washington is going to lose his can opener, his stealth attack, and his kamikaze. Ronnie Orozco here from Vaughn, New Mexico is going to lose his UFO and his mountain melee. So, guys, I hope you're hearing this, but Keith put a lot of work into the names of the special moves, and this is only a few of the 48 cards that come with the game, but I love that the driver from New Mexico has the UFO. And then we've got Doug Belcher here from Arizona, who's got his battering ram and his heat seeker. They're going to get knocked out. What that means is, as these drivers come up and it's their turn to roll, if they roll and it tells them that they're going to use their move number 1 and then row number 5 on that, and their number 1, say this was for Delgado, and number 1 was covered up, that's unfortunate, because that means that his turn is over. He doesn't get a chance to inflict any damage. He moves on, and now he's just a target for the next 2 drivers in that stack. What else can I mention? There is strategy. You'll notice that when you shuffle these out and you get ready for the next round, sometimes it's interesting to see who ends up on top of these stacks. Sometimes it's someone who needed to get a quick hit in to get back into the game. Sometimes someone who is in the lead is going to be at the bottom of one of these stacks and take some major damage from the first 2 cars. And as soon as, as soon as one of the cars takes enough damage, either 7 external hits, noted down here, or 6 internal hits, they're out of the race, their day is done. There's other ways for a car to get knocked out via those chart results I was showing you, but that's the general play mechanic. And and I should also mention that it's not always a strict 7 and 6. Some cars have those bonuses that I was mentioning earlier. So, for example, this classic sedan that Hubbard's driving, extra capacity for 6 internal damage. So that means he's not getting knocked out until the 7th. And also, some drivers can get lucky with this internal damage. For example, you've got Lockhart here. He's already taken 3 damage on the 2, 4, and 6. But he's still got his Max Smash, his Doorbuster, and his Peekaboo moves. And if someone does another bit of internal damage to him and they happen to roll a 6, like I just did, okay, he doesn't lose another move, but he just gets another chip put on the 6. So he's taken 4 internal damage. Okay, he's still got a couple more that he can sustain, but at least he didn't lose another move. Let's see. I think that's about it. There's some driver strategy cards if you're going to play this with a friend. And there's tons of cars, tons of different cars that come with it. A lot of duplicates of models, but from different years. And a lot of drivers. And checking out the drivers is a lot of fun with all their moves that I was talking about. So really, that's it. You go through, and as drivers get knocked out, you push their card over, you take their card out, and you keep whittling down, and eventually, like real Destruction Derby, one driver will be left standing, and you're done. And you go onto Delphi forums, and you talk about this great Destruction Derby you just had, and who won, and who's moving up in your rankings, and who got the instant kill, and who's having a bad day, etc., etc. So really quick game to play. Like I said, 20 minutes for a Destruction Derby. I've only used 8 drivers in this sample. You can play with as many as you want. It's totally up to you. It's very flexible in that manner. And like any of Play.com's games, the rules are malleable. You can change things around to suit your play style. All right, so let's move on to final thoughts. Okay, 1 second. I totally forgot something. Before we move on to the final thoughts, I wanted to show you this double down option. So looking on the forums, I realized that this is a add-on that Keith added later in the game's original life, where it's an additional layer of strategy where you can choose to roll an extra white or black die. So remember how I told you that these dice determine which column and row you're going to read from a player's card? Well, you can roll extra dice to get a choice of more columns or more moves within that, or more options or results within that column. Again, that plays heavily into the strategy. When you've got a driver who's lost some abilities, you might want to take a chance and roll an extra black die to increase your chances of hitting on a move that driver still has available. Now, the risk there is that if you roll doubles on either the white or the black, you're going to have something bad happen. You'll notice that, well, you won't notice, but let me just tell you, there's more risk and more reward for using the double black dice because that allows you to possibly negate the bad roll the first time of landing on something that's already been knocked out of your car. So yeah, I haven't tried this option yet, I'll be honest with you guys, but it's in the game and I will be incorporating it at some point. I just wanted to play the game the first few times without any extra options or extra rules to get the game down. But it was so easy to learn, this will be no problem adding into the game. And while I'm still finishing up here, I will tell you that here's a look at the instruction book. It is very, very clear. It's not too long. Easy to read. Keith does a great job of explaining the game mechanics, explaining all the rules, and giving you some designer notes that you'll want to read as well as lots of extra options for a payback option, sandbagging, strategy cards, specialty vehicles, team derbies, and a repair option as well. So yeah, so there's the manual. All right. On to final thoughts. All right, so that's Demo Derby Smashdown. Frame shaking, engine smoking, teeth rattling, door busting, crazy smash 'em up action on your tabletop. It's a fun light game, as I said in the intro. It's made for people who want to see a universe created on their tabletop and see the action play out. It's really well done, and I recommend it. Unfortunately, it's only on sale for a few more weeks. Keith has announced that this is a limited edition reprint that he's got going on. I think it's even hard to find information about this game on his website at this point. However, I'll still put the website information in the show notes below in case Keith is considering extending that reprint. Otherwise, what other final thoughts do I have? Oh, so I do write on the cards, just like Keith recommends in the manual, in pencil. And yeah, I have to erase it when the race is over and restart for the next one. It doesn't bother me. I am not that crazy about keeping my cards in pristine condition. As Keith says in the designer notes in the manual, it adds to the charm of the game actually over time as the cards get scuffed up, sort of like a real Demo Derby car would. But there are other options that you have. You can always sleeve your cards. You can always make copies and play with the copies. You can create an Excel spreadsheet. You can do lots of things. But I figure with all the games that I have and the amount of times that I'm going to play these games, I think writing on them isn't too bad. And I just think about the faces of my grandchildren or great-grandchildren when they open up the boxes and they see the pencil markings from Grandpa in this Demolition Derby game, and I can't it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully I can see them at that point. But it's fun to think about what the reaction will be when they see the writing on the cards and what the heck I was doing with my silly board gaming hobby. Speaking of silly board gaming hobbies, yes, Demolition Derby is a niche sport in itself. Tabletop sports gaming is a niche within the niche hobby of board gaming. So, what can you do but smile about it? It's fun. And Keith has created a great game for those of us who like to see be able to create a new universe of action on the tabletop. The stories evolve as you play through the game, and they're your stories that you created. And then you can go on the Delphi forums if you so choose, or on Board Game Geek, and share your stories. There's always people who want to read them. So play the game, come up with your storylines, and share them. We're always going to be there to read them and get a kick out of what other people are doing. So yeah, another great Play.com offering, and that I highly recommend for the solo game player. If you like this video, please go ahead and click the like button. If you're watching this over on Board Game Geek, come over on YouTube and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go to our Facebook page. I'm always posting images and information about upcoming episodes. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, and keep on gaming and go play some Demo Derby. Bye.